Daniel drew a square rectangle with a scale factor of 1/4, the length and width of his original. What is the perimeter of the new rectangle? All right, similar usually means we're setting up proportions, but this word here, scale factor, it's like a little gift. If it says scale factor, all you have to do is multiply. So the original is 20. They multiplied times 1/4, which we've talked about. Multiplying by 1/4 is the same as dividing by 4. So 20 times 1/4 gives us 5. So 25 times 1/4 side. Now remember, this side and this side are the same. Just like this side is 5, then this side is 5. So for the perimeter, you're going to add 5 plus 5 plus whatever the other two similar rectangles are shown below. The new rectangle's dimensions are 3 times greater than the original. What is the area? It doesn't say scale factor, it's still another scale factor type problem. So 7 times 3 is how they got 41. 4 times 3 is going to give you this side. Now, if you look at your formula chart, you have formula for area of a rectangle. Area equals base times height. That's 21 times whatever this side is. It'll be a pretty big number. Beth's doll's quilt is similar to her own quilt by a ratio of 1:6. If the side length of her doll's quilt is 11 inches, what is the side length of her own quilt in inches? Okay, so they're either going to give you a scale factor or a ratio. They gave you a ratio right here, 1:6. Now, if they give you a ratio, you're setting up a proportion. Half of the proportion is the ratio they give you, 1:6. Now think about a doll. A doll is smaller than a person. So just looking at the numbers, I know that the doll's quilt goes on top because it's the small number. The side length of the doll's quilt . Which proportion can be used to solve for x? My recommendation is to start with the color coding. This side matches this side. This side corresponds with this side. Your colors don't have to match mine, of course, but once I color code, I can do a few things. I can set up a proportion on my own, which is actually pretty smart. and look for the cross products. So if I do that, my first fraction is going to be over here, 5 and 7. And then on the other side, I have x and 15, which means my cross products have to be 5 and x and 7 and 15. Or I can color code my answer choices. So right now all the 7s in my picture are pink. So I'm going to make all the 7s pink. The X's are also pink, so I'm going to make all the X's pink. And then my 5s are green, so I'm going to make the 5s green. And the 15s green. So when you do this, you can get rid of a couple. A, the colors don't work, and C, the colors don't work. But as far as B and D go, the colors work. So we are looking for 7 and 15 to be across from each other. And 5 and X to be across from each other. If I look, 7 and 15, this is 7 and 5, so it's not right. Number 5 is almost identical to number 4. So start with color coding. And these are harder for me to set up proportions in my mind, so I always go straight to the color coding. LN is blue, so I'm going to make all the LNs blue. And so is RT. And then I have on my picture ST is pink. So I'm going to make all the STs pink, and MN is pink. LM is green. And RS is green. So now it cuts it down. I know it can't be B because the colors are wrong, or D. And even C has bad colors. The only answer is A. Mr. Franklin had 2 picture frames of similar proportions. One had a height of 20 and a width of 45. What would the width be? So you need to draw these. So picture frames are usually rectangles. Maybe your rectangle looks a little better than mine. Maybe not. Don't tell Ms. Drop. One rectangle has a height of 20 and a width of 45. It really doesn't matter which one is which. The other has a height of 35. So 20 is the height, 35 is the height. What would its width be? So you're setting up a proportion for this. I don't care if you drew the picture or if they gave you the picture. You still need to color code. So we're going to start with this shape over here. I have 45 and 20. 45 is pink and 20 is blue. So that means on the other side, which side matches 45? X. And which side matches 20? 35. Now you're going to solve this proportion and you'll have your answer. Which rectangle is similar to rectangle QRST? Oh my goodness, I just love color coding so much. I think it's the first thing you should do. Pause the video if you need to. Now, there are lots of ways you can do this. The easiest way, 5 and 7.5. If you divide 5 divided by 7.5, that will give you the ratio from the width to the length. Then you can divide all the other rectangles. The ratios should be the same. The other way you can do it is set up proportions for every single one. So if I'm going to set up a proportion for C, well here. If I'm going to set up a proportion for C, it's going to look like this. Now, if it's correct, when I multiply 7.5 times 1, I get 7.5. And 5 times 1.25, I don't even know what that is. But if this is equal to this, it is similar. If it is not equal, it's not similar, and you have to try a different one. Triangle ABC and triangle JKL are similar. Find the value of X. Start with color coding. And then set up your proportion. And you need X. So I always start with what I need. And in the same shape as X is 56. So I have X and 56. Now on the other side, I need the colors that match, or the sides that correspond. So in this shape, which side corresponds to X? 8. And which side corresponds to 56? 16. Now you're going to solve that proportion. Multiply and divide. As shown in the diagram below, Javier is standing outside next to a flagpole. Javier is 5 feet 4 inches tall and his shadow is 40 inches long. The flagpole's shadow is 75 inches tall. How tall is the flagpole? Take a second to go ahead and label your picture. The flagpole's shadow, this whole thing, is 75 inches. Javier's shadow is 40 inches. Now I'm going to take a second before I label how tall Javier is. It says he is 5 feet 4 inches. How many inches are in a foot? 12. You're right. So that's 60 inches. So 65 feet. 5 feet 4 inches is the same as 60 feet plus 4 inches. So everything else is in inches. I'm going to label Javier in inches as well. Now you can either redraw this picture as 2 triangles, or you can go ahead and color code it straight in on your sheet. The shadows need to be one color. And Javier and the flagpole need to be another color. This is a proportion problem. You're looking for X. This is the flagpole fraction. X and 75 are in the flagpole. And Javier is 64 and 40. Cross product and divide. Chris drew the following diagram of his park with a scale factor of 1 inch equals 7 feet. What is the area of the actual park? Keyword, scale factor. Usually when it says scale factor, all you have to do is multiply. And really, that's all you have to do here too. It's important that you change the measurements before you calculate area. So 11 inches times the scale factor of 7 and 7 inches times the scale factor of 7. Now, area of a rectangle and you have 77 times 49. Mario wants to enlarge a photo with a width of 5 inches and a height of 7 inches to frame and hang up. If the enlarged photo must have a width of 72 inches, what is the height of the enlarged photo? You are going to need to draw a picture. So enlarged photo, width of 5 inches and height of 7 inches. The enlarged photo has a width of 72 inches and we don't know what the height is. You are going to color code the photo that you drew, just like you would if it was a picture they gave you. You're looking for X. I always start with what I need. So X and 72. And on the other side, I'm going to write the numbers that match. X matches 7 and 72 matches 5. Cross product and divide. The figures below are similar. What is the value of X? Number 11 is very similar. It's pretty much the same problem as number 12. So you're going to color code. This straight side is the same as X. And then on our arrow ends, we have the same. Those correspond. So start with what you need, x and 4.5. They come from the same shape. So I like to put them in the same fraction. That is not the only way you can do it. That's just the way I like it. Then I move to the other shape and I write the numbers that match. You are going to cross product and divide. You are solving this proportion. Sadie is drawing a scale drawing of her room, which is 10 feet wide by 12 feet long. Sadie is using a scale of 1.5 inch to 1 foot. What will be the width of Sadie's scale drawing? So you have a room that is 10 foot wide. The scale is 1.5 inch to 1 foot. The other side, we also want inches on top and feet on bottom. If you put feet on top, that's okay. It just has to be on top in both fractions. Now it says width. So we're going to use the 10 because it says 10 feet wide. Careful with your decimal. If triangle ABC is similar to triangle QRP, which side corresponds to BC? So let's find BC. Right here. BC goes from 100 to 30. You see that? You see the angle measurements? The angles in both triangles are exactly the same. So if BC goes from 100 to 30, QR is the one that corresponds because it is from 100 to 130. RP goes from 50 to 30. And QP goes from 100 to 50. So you are looking for the side that corresponds to BC. A building is 21 feet tall and its shadow is 10.5 feet long. At the same time, a tree's shadow is 3 feet tall. How tall is the tree? Draw a picture. We have a building. You can even draw windows if you want to. It's really not important. A door to get into the building. And that building is 21 feet tall. It has a shadow that is 10.5 feet long. If you look, you just made a triangle. At the same time, you have a tree. We don't know how tall the tree is, but we do know the shadow is 3 feet. So you have two triangles which you can color code, making sure that the shadows are the same color. Then you can set up your proportion to solve.